Tonight on Common Ground, we're talking hunting, masculinity, and what might happen in our country if we lose both of those things, which it seems like we might in the near future. Callum Sheridan is the National President for the NZDA, the New Zealand Deerstalkers Association, and he's joining me for a straight-up conversation about the state of firearm laws, land access, self-reliance, and the values passed down through time outdoors. So we'll get straight into it. I'm keen to hear a little bit about your background, and just from what we've discussed off camera, just the fact that the opinions you give here today will officially be yours and not as the National President of the NZDA, just so that's understood.
That's right, yeah.
With that little disclaimer put
just
out.
so we don't upset someone, there's always somebody.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you've got nearly, was it 12,000 members in the club?
Around that 12,000, yeah.
So I'd be surprised if they all had the same opinion, and it would make for a boring club, I'm sure.
Would, yeah, it would.
Cool, so tell me a little bit about how you got involved. I mean, you're the National President now. Go back to when you started hunting.
Yeah, probably late teens, early 20s, I got an interest in it. I'd always been going fly fishing in the backcountry, central North Island, with my parents when I was a kid. That's what we'd do for the school holidays, or over Christmas, that's where we'd go and that's what we'd do. Neither of them were into hunting. I got an interest in it just because you'd be cruising around a lake and you'd see a pig or a deer, and then I was like, oh, what's that up there? And it's like this huge bit of native bush, and I'd just disappear in there for a day.
What drew you into the bush in the first place? Just to be there to see these animals?
Oh, just like you see a deer run away into the bush and you're like, oh, I wonder where it's going, what's it doing? Like, let's go up there and have a look. And then you get in there and you're like looking at the birds and the spiders and all the shit that's going on, and you go, well, this is pretty cool. And then you see some tree that's, hundreds of years old, and you go, fuck, this is awesome. This is what a cool place to be. And when I'm in here, I can like chase these things around that are like, well, meant to be pests. Valued introduced species, we'll start that now.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. Yeah, so it was just such a cool place to be. And obviously I enjoyed doing it on a lake, rivers, all that sort of stuff, fishing. And then I guess the bush just brought a whole nother aspect to that. And then you go from the bush and you travel through the bush and you go up and get onto the tussock, and then it's a whole nother environment totally. So as you're moving through these places, it's just stuff that most people don't see.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you're talking about seeing like a big tree, like a big beautiful tree and different animals. There's a lot of people that they'll go 30, 40 years without seeing any of that in their environment, because most of us live in cities where all that is gone. But did you join an association early on like this one now?
Yeah, so I was actually speaking to a family friend, and I was talking about hunting, and they said, why don't you join the Deerstalkers Association? I'd never heard of it, but at the time I was probably 18 or 19. I thought, oh, yep, okay, so...
About 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, 20 years
ago.
Almost 20 years ago.
Sorry, that's the last stab I'll take.
Yeah, almost 20 years ago, not quite. So anyway, I came along I did a, what would I have done? I don't know. I must have Googled it. Was there Google then? Probably.
Sent a letter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I turned up here, and I walked into these club rooms, and there was about 20 people in the room. I don't think one of them was under 55. The reason I hung around was the president at the time was actually my rugby coach from under like 11s through to under 21s. And it was a really good team. Like, we did really well in the Auckland Championship, all that sort of stuff. And I turned up here, he was here, so I thought, I'll keep coming along. And I knew somebody a lot of the time, and it's stopped now, I think, with the Deerstalkers, but a lot of the time you'd come into a club and you'd walk in and look around, and everyone would go, oh shit, new person, don't look at them. And like, it'd almost be this like cliquey little thing. And one of the main things about me getting involved and that was, I came into this place, I knew one guy, I saw how everyone else interacted, and I'm only young at this stage too, remember going, fuck, why is everyone like looking away and like, not interacting.
Have I done something wrong?
Yeah, anyway, so it was quite a daunting place to come into actually when I first came here. It was, you go, fuck, what have I done wrong? Why are these guys so standoffish? And eventually you made some friends, went on a couple of group hunts with them, and it was slow going. Anyway, after about 2 years, I ended up going to the UK. So I sort of dropped it
You moved there?
I moved to the UK, yeah, so about 3 years or so in the UK and travelled in Europe, that sort of thing. When I came back, I thought I'll go back to that club, and it was pretty much the same.
Right.
You know, so it was the same thing going on. Same president, that was all good. So my rugby coach, so I knew him. I had someone to talk to, and I was like, I just want to go hunting and learn. And like I was pretty dead set on it. Like I was pretty bullheaded about I've got to find out how to get these things. You know?
Well, I think if you weren't, you might have got turned away by that reception.
Yeah. Then I think I was here for 18 months or 2 years, and I got on the committee, and I was on the committee at the Auckland branch here for almost 11 years. Yeah, so I did basically all the roles. I did the vice president, the president, party hunts convener, did different bits and pieces throughout the whole thing. I'm still running hunts for them now, although I'm off the committee.
Now, not quite 20 years in, looking back, do you know why they were sort of like that? Because I think that's common across all sorts of clubs in the country.
The easiest way to explain that is old boys club.
Right. Okay.
Everybody understands that terminology, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly it. I came onto the committee. There was another guy here, Dan Friedman, who was very direct, which I liked. You know, we're great friends now. Very direct, and he would call a spade, right? And he was on the committee, and we were sort of bouncing back, and we didn't really know each other, and you'd bounce things back off at meetings and stuff. I'd come along to a meeting here, and it would be like 7 o'clock at night, say we'd start the meeting. I didn't leave here once till after midnight. And it's just like these guys like this across the table, and you're going, what the fuck? And it's like, you guys really like the sound of your own voice.
Right.
Anyway, so me and Dan ended up becoming mates and worked our way through, and the committee sort of changed, and a few people changed, and eventually I was a VP for a year, and then was a president here for 4 years. And in that time, like the club just like boomed, because I was like, whoever you are, come in, have a chat to us, and we're going to help you hunt, all right? We're going to help you go out hunting. We're going to help you learn the backcountry. We're going to be friendly and open and talk to you. Someone comes to me and goes, where do I go and shoot a deer? I've got a few places. I just go here, knowing full well it's hard work. You've got to go there. You've got to walk up the hill. And if they've got enough balls to get there, walk up the hill, shoot the deer, or maybe not shoot the deer, but get up there and have a look, they're going to go, actually, this is quite a good place. I'll probably come back. And I'm happy with that, you know. I'm not going to give everybody my spot X, but I'm going to go, this is where there are some deer, and you're going to have a good chance if you put the effort in.
So basically it's just opening the doors and being more welcoming. So if someone watching this today that's been thinking about getting meat for their own family or going hunting, they could just approach any NZDA and just say, I'd like to get involved.
They could. With the NZDA, and I'll be completely blunt about this, and everybody knows it's the truth, if there's a branch around that thinks that this is not true, there's the odd branch that you go into still, and they're still like that. So still the old boys club. A number of them, or the majority, have changed. There are some great ones. We've got some great branches around the country, fantastic, welcoming. And we're just so, if people are interested in getting into hunting, yes, get along to your Deerstalkers. It's scary. You walk into a room with a whole lot of experienced hunters that all think they know what they're doing, and, you know, use this caliber and use that caliber, and no, that's not how you do it. This is how you do it. Just go along and listen to them, you know. Don't take every single word they say as gospel. Just learn and figure yourself out and figure your own way. But by joining the Deerstalkers, you're contributing to the advocacy work, right, at the high level. You know, in Parliament, we're talking to the politicians, we're doing all that sort of stuff.
When you say contributing, this is through your fees?
Through your fees,
right, okay.
Yeah. And if you don't pay your fees off...
Which are what? What are the fees for?
So fees are probably between 120 to 280, I think, depending on what branch you're a member of.
Right, okay.
And obviously different branches offer different stuff. So some branches have got a range, some have got access to forestry blocks.
Okay.
You know, some do hunts courses, some don't. So if you can't pay your fees off, we've got an app. So you go on the app, and, you know, if you want some new tyres or whatever, you'll get 10, 15% discount, sometimes more. So I had a Fiordland block, Wapiti block a few years ago. I went into Torpedo 7, needed a few things. I think the bill was $450 or something, and it came down to like 220.
Wow.
Like my membership's paid off.
Yeah, that's awesome.
done, just in one go. But if you did that all the time, it's you're gonna.
It's well worth it if you are hunting actively.
It's worth it. Yeah. It's the like personal connections you make. You're not just. We talked about this just before, like YouTube. You're not just looking at YouTube. Oh, what's this guy saying on YouTube? You're going and you're talking to someone. You're building a relationship, and then eventually, if you annoy them enough, they'll probably go, "Oh, well, come hunting with me."
Yeah, right.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, or just showing up at the club multiple weeks in a row, sort of thing as well.
People turning up to a club once and expecting to be given spot X and go there and you're going to shoot a huge big stag and you're going to be the great white hunter. No chance.
So, like, to take it slightly out of the association to you personally, why do you hunt?
Yeah. How long have we got?
Please take a sip and launch in.
It's far out. It's like I said, it was like an interest. Like I was just intrigued to get into the bush, like just intrigued what's going on in there, what's that, what's this, and then initially I was like, oh, I can shoot a deer and then I can fill my freezer up and fantastic, like that's great. And then you start getting good at shooting deer and you're like, well, what's next? Oh, trophy heads, like how do you get a good one of them? And then, so the big old stags, they're cunning and smart. So then you spend hours and hours and like, I was talking to Oscar about, who came on a group hunt the other week, like I've done a lot of rooster hunting and
Rooster is the type of deer, isn't it?
Rooster is a type of deer.
I only say that because when Oscar says it, I often think he's saying rooster.
Yeah.
So you're not rooster hunting.
No, we're deer hunting.
RUSA, yeah.
RUSA, yeah, rooster. Yep. So like Southeast Asian deer, incredibly sneaky. To come by a big stag is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Some people luck it. Like some people are like, right, let's go hunting. And the majority of the place where they are is egalitable foothills, right? So you've got flat farmland and then you've got 200 metres above sea level to like 1,000 metres above sea level at the highest point in the space of less than a kilometre. So it's steep, rugged faces, waterfalls everywhere, slips, bluffs, pumicy sand. Like
Get fit fast
and it's hard, it's hard hunting. But maybe that's what, so back to the question of why I hunt, probably because it's a challenge. It's a challenge first, like you're mentally and physically, it's a challenge, both at the same time. If you go and you're bush stalking all day, it's like a form of meditation as well. You come back and you feel great, but you're also exhausted. Like you're just so exhausted because if you're creeping through an area and trying to be as quiet as possible, you're trying to take note of the wind, take note of your noise, you're looking around at the same time, all your senses are just on overdrive and you're just waiting for something to happen. And that could be hours on end. And you just, sometimes those hours will just go like that, boom, oh shit, it's getting dark, I better go, It's
sort of like what soldiers describe as like combat fatigue. They say just being like hyper aware and like having to keep so many factors in mind at all time that even if they haven't engaged the enemy, by the end of the day, they just drop and sleep because they're so tired. It sounds a lot like that, where you're just on your toes, trying not to make a sound, especially with those.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it, I know what you're saying. I wouldn't call it as edgy as that though. You're calm, but the concentration level is at 100.
Right, yeah. Yeah, well, I think I said to you on the phone, vitamin forest, you're just absorbing a bit of that goodness.
Great. And you have, like, sometimes you're like, shit, I've got to have a break. So you like sit down and like eat a bit of salami or whatever you've got in your pack, and like you're like, fuck, this is like, that was quite full on,
Right, yeah.
But that's like how some people do it. Some people just get in the bush and just charge. They just walk and then they'll bump a deer and they might get a shot, they might not. Some people go medium pace and there's different styles for every area you're in, right? Sometimes just wandering along and looking into different little gullies works. But if you're in thick bush, then you've got to go really slow. Like you're talking about getting into bow hunting, you'll be going slow. Like if you're going to be successful, you have to go slow. Yeah,
well, what I've seen just online is that successful and bow hunting seem to go together really, and a lot of bow hunters go out there and come back hungry by the look of it, compared to someone with a gun that
you've got to be incredibly patient.
Oh, maybe it's not for me then. I'll reconsider. What do you think are like the sort of common public misconceptions about hunting? Because what you've described to me sounds like you've just said you're in nature, it's like a form of therapy and meditation. It just sounds like this blissful, nice thing to do, and you get to fill the freezer. So what is it that people don't understand about it? Or in our country maybe in particular?
It's a hard one. I think hunters in New Zealand are quite well understood compared to the rest of the world. You go to Britain, for instance, Like, you ask 10 people on the street what they think about hunting, and 9 of them will tell you that it's a blood sport.
I think it's anecdotal, but I find it's very similar here, especially if you have something online, for example. If someone posts up a stag that they've got, I've got friends that hunt as well, other than Oscar here, and the comments are not positive usually. And we don't have like an overly liberal friend group or anything, but it just seems a lot of the time people are quite kind of outraged by it.
It's funny you use that word liberal, because liberal would go, that guy's having a really good time.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah, or he's not supporting factory farming.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, I guess it's probably my friend group is like, I've probably like weaned it out to like people that are like, if you don't like hunting, well, just fuck off. Like, like I'm not interested in hearing your nonsense. And a lot of it's just people that don't understand, don't hurt the poor animal, this, that. Well, there's benefits to hunting, right? It's benefiting the environment. It's filling your freezer up. Are you hurting the animal? It dies pretty quickly if you shoot it in the right spot, you know?
Well, it's a lot nicer than halal slaughter, for example, which I've discovered recently.
They just don't understand the ethics that go behind big game hunting. And they go ahead and go, I've got this opinion, and hurting that poor little animal's a bad thing, just leave it alone. Or, it's this perception. That could be a reason, or another reason is just like, hunters have got guns and guns are bad, and I don't want to live next door to a hunter because they'll have a gun in their house. If you live next door to a hunter and somebody that's got as a licensed firearms owner, you're actually living next to an outstanding member of society. The rigorous process that they've gone through to get that firearms license is outstanding. Like, they've had to sit there at a table this far away from their assessor going, so do you beat your wife?
Yeah.
And, have you ever had suicidal thoughts?
And they'll ask her as well, how does he deal with stressful situations?
So then they'll say, off you pop. Whoever's given their license gets asked to leave the room. Then they question the wife or the partner or whoever their person is they're living with, or their friend, because you've got to have 3 references, I think. And the partner by default is just questioned, and then you've got to have another couple of references, right? And they all got to ask the same questions. Like, it's pretty confronting stuff. And that person's got to sit there, hold themselves together, composed, and then describe how they feel about that.
It's like a police interview almost, isn't it?
It is exactly that.
You've done something wrong.
It's exactly that.
Well, preparing to talk for you, I actually looked worldwide about licensing conditions, and New Zealand has one of the longest and most arduous processes of almost any other country. Like, we are just... It's very difficult to get a license here, and from what you've just said, I'm not even sure that's a bad thing, really. I think if you've gone through a good process to make sure that only sane, safe people that aren't beating their wives are getting their license and then going hunting, it's not such a bad thing. Yep,
it's great. It's like, to join the NZDA, it's almost a prerequisite you have your license, right? In saying that, if you turn up time and time again and you are just a bow hunter and you don't have your license for whatever reason, if you can prove yourself to that club, then that's fine. But a prerequisite is you turn up, you've got your license, that's a tick. Now, there's obviously some instances we had in the last few years of, like, people are going to be, I'm only saying this because people are going, what about that guy that got let through and killed all those people in the mosque? That was a complete failure on the police's part. A firearms select committee that was chaired by our fearless leader, Jacinda Ardern, changed the rules to allow that shit to happen, And then she's the one there, like...
So what did she change exactly?
So she basically loosened the rules up so that person, she was the chair of this committee, so that person that went and committed that offence could have got his firearms licence online. He hadn't even met his referee.
The offence being the mass killing at the mosque in Christchurch, Trenton Tarrant. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And she's the kindest, best Prime Minister we've ever had.
Yeah, I keep hearing that, yeah.
She just brought out a book. You should get it.
Yeah, different kind of power, or I think it's called. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's got a really
different kind of power, right?
Great reception online. I've seen. I've seen some good parodies actually. Different kind of powder was a good one. A bit of powder across the nose. That was nice.
I did. I saw that one. Yeah.
It's done poorly. I don't know how that makes you feel, but it's done very poorly in sales. It went on Oprah's book club, flopped.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I thought it was just. We won't dive too deep into this one, but I felt like it was just tone deaf. It's like the country's not impressed with what you did.
Did she even write it? Didn't she have a ghostwriter writing it or something?
ChatGPT probably did it. Who knows?
It's just you can't you can't run a country on kindness, you know. You've got to do hard shit. You've got to do hard shit and make hard decisions to actually get anywhere with anything.
I think that's almost the perfect transition to being like from an absolute lack of masculinity into what I really wanted to sort of yarn with you about, you know. We talk about that sort of, well, weakness, really. It's just poor decision making from uninformed people that don't understand what you're doing. Industry is probably not the right word for hunting, is it? Sector. Not sure.
Yeah,
the hunting sector.
Yep.
So this is also something I'd briefly yarn to you about, and you know, I'm a father, I've got a couple of sons, and something I've noticed, especially, and I haven't said this before, but growing up in a single mother home, not really learning about all these different masculine things. And New Zealand, I think in particular, being a young country and a fresh culture, we don't particularly have manhood rights. We're not a country where when you hit 13 or 14-year-old, your father takes you and you do this and everyone's accepted. And once you've done that, you're a man now and society accepts you as a man. And I think because we don't have that, and things like hunting has been demonized, hunting, fishing, all these sort of things, demonized just right wing really, even martial arts, all of it. So I just wonder that with what you're doing, do you see hunting as a connection into helping boys become men, especially if we kind of brought it more mainstream?
Yeah, I don't think specifically there should be a focus on that. But on it being hunting is how you become a man. Like some people aren't into killing shit, which is fine. You know, I've got lots of mates that are fucking masculine men that don't like killing shit. You know, it's how you like hold yourself in society and your values and your ethics and all that sort of stuff. You don't necessarily have to be a hunter that wants to go and kill animals, right? But in saying that, hunting gives you values, whether you're male or female, right? It gives you a certain set of values and ethics that you can live your life by, right? The only person watching you when you're in the bush by yourself is you. The only person you've got to answer to is you. So what you do, if you go and shoot a deer in the back leg and go, oh, I'm not going to chase it, I'm just going to let that animal die slowly, that's on you, and that was a decision you made.
I guess my point is that if you, say even if it wasn't your father, if you joined a club like this and an experienced hunter took you along and you were a teenage boy and you hadn't killed an animal and you were taught, and you're taken through that process of take the clean shot, find the animal, make sure they're put down well, and then field dress them and all the rest of it. I think that those principles and morals that you're talking about form in those scenarios, or that's just my question really, maybe that these sort of things do help.
They definitely would form.
And not even hunting, just...
They would form, they set up a person well for life. Whether you're male or female, they set you up well. Those principles set you up well in your relationships, what your expectations, I guess, and what your boundaries would be in that relationship, and what your expectations of other people are, because you've been set, whether it's your father or not, in the right direction to, I guess, make decisions for yourself and know and hold yourself to a certain standard. I would say is that, like, the masculinity thing. Yes, definitely. Like, I'm a hunter. I go out. I've gone up that hill. I'm physically exhausted. I've got a deer. I've chopped it up. I've put it in my pack. I've taken it back. It's in the freezer. I'm feeding my family. Like, great, fantastic. Yeah.
I guess that's what I was sort of getting at, is just that, finding that, because I just think there's a lot of adult boys walking around that never really had these things happen, never had things like hunting or things that did. Maybe you're right there. I mean, you probably are right. Just that physical challenge, and even mental and physical challenge of doing something and completing something. And I guess, like you're saying, if you are the kind of person that's going to shoot a leg of a deer and then leave it, you're probably going to be a shit person all around.
It happens, right? Like nobody's perfect.
No, but to chase it up, right?
Yeah. You do your best to make sure that animal is dispatched ethically and as quickly as possible. The ethics thing is big, and you know, I guess the masculinity question, all that sort of stuff. We in society, I think that's definitely dwindled. You know, they talk about like testosterone in males being a lot lower than it ever was. Like 60 years ago, a male's testosterone level was way up here, and now it's like just way down here. You know, what's causing that? You know, probably the food and the shit that we eat. So if you're brought up hunting, or you start hunting at whatever age, and you're feeding yourself on like organic protein, and you're not going and eating some shit from the supermarket that's been packaged in plastic and you don't know what it is, like a chicken pump full of hormones or something. Putting that sort of stuff into your body is going to might have a difference to that.
Plastics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, and I think on top of that as well is the cultural aspect. I think that masculinity has been pushed down because it's seen. Well, you hear the word toxic come up all the time for anything, like if it's, especially fighting sports and hunting. These are two topics that I always see
toxic
come up.
Masculinity.
The top,
I think it's great. Like it's needed for society. The masculinity part is, and it's called toxic when it's just masculine.
Yeah,
you've got a drive to go and like gather food for your family, or run up a mountain, or chop down a tree, whatever it may be. It might not be killing something, but it's doing something that men were bred to do.
Well, it's always the elephant in the room is that we do have gender roles, not because of society, but because we do have things that men are better at and women are better at, and men are stronger. And
but the thing is too, is like New Zealand is such a young country, like one of the youngest countries in the world, right? Like we've got 200 years of history only.
We're barely settling in. Really.
Exactly. Like we haven't settled in. You look at traditions like what you're talking about. You take your kids hunting when they get to a certain age. Well, some people probably do that.
Minority.
But it'd be a minority thing. There's like, I can't remember the exact numbers now, but there's not a lot. It's in the tens of thousands of big game hunters in New Zealand, like under 100,000, I think. Well, 240 licensed firearms owners. And I think under 100,000 of them are big game hunters.
Well, I actually, in our sort of pre-discussion, I had found out that there was about 180,000 people a year that said they hunted or trapped for their own meat.
Right, okay.
And that made up most of their meat diet. So I guess that just means they buy less from the supermarket.
Oh, that's great.
It's hard to eat like...
And is that hunting animals or is that fishing as well?
Well, it said hunting and trapping, so I assume that covers rabbits, and I don't know if that's fishing as well, maybe, I don't know. These things are always broad, but I mean, for me, like having not done this before, when Oscar, for everyone else, the producer behind the camera, when he brought home his first deer and he gave me some of that meat, it was just like eating something I'd never eaten before. It's completely different. It had been heart beating that morning, and then having it in the pan, just searing it up and having that like medium rare, it was beautiful. You should have left
it hanging for at least 10 days.
Yeah, well, he said this afterwards, actually. Yeah, he was talking. So you always say you age your meat, don't you?
Aging the meat's great. I personally take the heart every time. I love it. And other people go, oh, it's awful, it's horrible shit.
You take it as in you eat it?
The heart, yeah.
On the spot? Like,
no. That's a joke. That's a joke you play on like the new guy. Oh, it's your first deer, bite the heart. Nah. I take it and you just cut it up into little bits and like, get the barbecue or the pan real hot with a bit of oil and some salt and pepper and just a bit of onions and mushroom. It's delicious on the day of it,
I've had ox heart. Is it similar?
It'd be similar, yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's really good. It's like super tender steak.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yep.
I love that. So do you think that like, you've said men and women a few times, as I've sort of talked about boys going this masculine. I think that's good. Do you think teaching in general young people just where their food comes from? Because if you ask a lot of young people where meat comes from, they say the refrigerated aisle.
Yeah. Like it's funny. Like some of my son's mates at school, he's 8. One of them's recently wanting to come hunting, and that's cool. Happy to take him hunting.
Your son's friend.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And so for his 8th birthday last year, he wanted to go fishing. I just upgraded the boat, all that sort of stuff. The first trip on the boat was like 6 or 7 and 8-year-olds, like, and my daughter as well, who was 5 at the time, all just going bananas. And one mate of mine, keeping them all under control. They all went out there, they all caught fish, but watching their different reactions my 2 are used to it. They're like, oh yeah, fishing, that's what we do. It comes up. My daughter's a bit like, oh, don't hurt the fish. She's happy to eat it, but she'll be
doesn't want to kill it.
Yeah. Yep. Which is what you would expect of a small child. And some of the boys that were there were a bit, just a bit taken aback. Like you grab the fish, and some of them never been fishing or caught a fish before, and you're like, some of them are right into it, all about it, and others were just like, whoa, what's going on here? We've got a bin full of dead things. Yeah. What's going on? And then
surreal.
And on the way back, it's like, we were in the Kaipara Harbour actually, and it got shitty. It got real shitty on the way back, and we took a wave over the top, and like most of them were loving it. Like they got all wet and they were all like rolling around the floor, and I was like, oh, whatever, carried on. But then I noticed one of them was really quiet, hiding in the corner, and I was like, oh, you're all right, come and sit up the front. And once he got sort of pulled into it, he was happy. But
Just different experience.
It's good to be experienced to those sort of hard things. You know, when the kids these days, what would be their general day? They wake up in the morning, where's my iPad? Where's the TV? And then do they go outside that day? Probably not.
Depends on the parents.
Depends on the parents.
So you and me probably make them go outside.
Yep.
I definitely do.
Yeah. I'm like, sometimes TV is great. Horrible cold day. Watch the TV, guys. I've got some work to do.
Yep.
Fine.
No, fully agree.
But the day after day situation is no good. When they come home from school, I make sure that there's something that they're doing outside. Is your homework done? Is your room tidy? Mm-hmm. And this is at 6 and 8 years old. You know, they know that they've got to do these things before they get the reward. But a lot of people are just like, this kid is really hard. I'm just going to give it this tablet.
Yeah, and I find that there's probably a good chance that those people maybe had parents that did a similar way in their own time. Like, you know, it's like, as you know as well as I do, parenting's weird because you enter it and you're like, no one's told me how to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just making mistakes and then thinking, I wonder if other people are making the same mistakes and trying to be better all the time. But I'm the same as you. I really try and push my kids outside. And I got a 14 and a 2.5-year-old, and both of them, I like to push them outside more and more.
Yep.
Or keep them active, keep them just physically going, eh?
Yep.
But they still come back, pick up the iPad, love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think we're all guilty of picking your phone up and next minute you go, oh shit, it's been like 40 minutes.
Yeah, you want to throw it at the wall. Just doom scroll.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a little bit guilty of that as well myself.
I think everybody is, but it's keeping mindful of what you're doing and not getting caught in it. So many people get caught in it, and it's their world.
Especially if you're interested, like if you're into hunting, I'm sure that you're just pouring through hunting videos through your reels.
To be honest, like watching you, like I would probably use Instagram the most, but YouTube and stuff, not really. Like only if there's something of real interest, you know, or like I'm trying to learn something and I haven't made that connection with someone to learn it, I'll have a look. But I would say I go on YouTube twice every 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, we run a YouTube show, I'm about the same.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Well, no, on Spotify. I listen to podcasts, right?
No, but I'm saying with actual YouTube. Yeah. Podcast, Spotify. Nice and easy because you can chuck it in your pocket, put your headphones in and work or do whatever, I don't sit down and watch stuff really.
No.
I don't know who has the time or the patience for it. I just think I can do something while I'm doing this. I can go and clean this or fix that or service this and then watch it in the background, you know?
Yeah.
But not to sit down. Just to switch, do you think New Zealanders in general, like your ancestors and my ancestors and the Indigenous Māori and everyone were particularly self-reliant people? And for me, that's not being a hunter, but sort of looking into hunting and knowing about it. Hunting is the ultimate form of self-reliance. Do you think that Kiwis still respect self-reliance?
All of those people came here on wooden boats in some way, shape or form. So they had to have some sort of grit and determination, right?
To the bottom of the world, yeah.
Yeah, like some of them had bigger wooden boats and it was later, but like, they all made their own way here under their own steam, right?
And how many of them survived?
I think it is in our genes, right? It's definitely in our genes as New Zealanders to have a bit of grit and determination. That some people have got it, some people don't. But you know, after 200 years of breeding, I guess that's what happens. Some
ancestors of survivors.
Yeah.
And thrivers.
Yep.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Do you think that in general with New Zealanders, like as a broad population, do we still respect self-reliant people? Because I mean, you've got this group of people that are all into quite similar things, but most people live in cities, and most people aren't self-reliant.
It depends what side of the fence you sit on. I think I value it massively. If you're if I take somebody hunting or they come out on the boat and they're self-reliant, they can do shit, they're like tidy, they're not a dickhead, you know, like just like somebody that thinks about what they're doing and the consequences of what they're doing. Or if you take somebody out that's a bumbling mess and like cutting their fingers and doing this and doing that and like not respectful of what you're doing, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and I've had both, you know, more the latter actually. Like it's hard to find solid, self-reliant people that are capable people are few and far between, you know. I think we're sitting on the same page, Oscar. We're sitting on the same page here, but there's so many people that you deal, and they just bumble through life with this oh, it'll be all right. I'll go down to the supermarket and get my bit of meat or my packet of Doritos and sit at home and get my Doritos fingers and stuff my mouth and fuck. It's like, fucking hell. Like, just like, and that's all they get. Like, there's not much more thought from these just like little processes that go on in their world. And yeah, the self-reliance thing is like, if shit hit the fan tomorrow, could you feed yourself?
Well, that's it.
And I would say 95% of the population would die in a couple of months.
Well, we know for a fact that the US government themselves say that if the lights went out in the US today, completely over the whole country, in 1 year, 90% of the population die.
Well, that was a good guess. Yeah.
So you leave 10% of people that were probably already hunting, living out in the wops with their radio, waiting for the world to end. They're the real survivors. And so with the people that are hunting, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realise is you're probably saving money, right? I mean, do you buy a lot of meat? And let's leave out all of your gear purchases, because again, with Oscar here, he's already emptying his bank account every weekend to buy more hunting stuff. And I'm sure a lot of hunters do, but I mean, so for example, I've got a family of 4 coming on 5. We're spending about $400 a week at the supermarket, and I'd say that 150 to 180 maybe of that is meat at least. And I'd say we probably eat a bit more meat than the usual family. But
okay, I mean, I try not to buy any meat. Sometimes there'll be a bit of chicken, like a whole chicken.
But you get boar for bacon and stuff?
I'm not a big bacon fan, really.
Just eat what you kill.
Just whatever,
And you fish as well, though, don't you?
Fish as well, yeah. So it's meat and fish with eggs and broccoli or something like that for dinner most nights.
You're basically keto, is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you don't want to call it that.
Carnivore. If you add beer to keto, then yes.
Carnivore. Oh yeah, we're sitting here drinking whiskey, aren't we? Carnivore plus enjoyments.
Yeah. I mean, basically that's what it is. And my kids eat the same stuff, And you see some people, and it's like their kid will only eat pasta or something, and you're going, fuck, like, teach it to eat something else. Like, just don't feed it pasta and it'll eventually eat something else.
Yeah, well, I've heard from people that say, like, I want to teach my kids how to make their own food, so I taught them how to make pasta and rice. It's like, teach them how to sear a steak to medium. It's really not that hard. Doesn't take that long, and it's going to fill them right up.
It's definitely nutritious food, whereas pasta and rice is just shit, really.
The only thing I'd say is that, I presume you're mostly getting deer.
Yeah, deer. Recently was down south and was on a sheep station where they had a wild cattle problem.
Wild cattle?
Wild cattle, yep. I've done that a couple of times now. There was one over...
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, on Great Barrier Island. Yeah, they're nasty bloody things. So these people had rounded all these cattle up and put them into a paddock, and they just burst the fences down, like 1,000-kilo beasts, and I got the full story from them about how all this went down, and they're like, yeah, we need to get rid of them. There's about 50 of them, and we were down in it was just outside Murchison, and I spent about 2 months this year going around the South Island hunting, and I ended up there. My partner, she met a girl in Edinburgh when she was doing her OE, and her old man owns a sheep farm. And I hung out with Ross for a week or so, and it was bloody cool. But he said, there's his cattle, him and his wife Sue, there's his cattle up the back, shoot a couple. And anyway, we're meant to do this Nelson Lakes hunt, and they had organised to go in and shoot all these red deer. It was a management hunt. We're flying into a wilderness zone, so it's basically shoot everything, all the red deer you see, and we'll bring it out for meat. They got a grant for the local food bank, all that sort of stuff. The hunt, I just hung out in Murchison because the hunt got cancelled twice. It just kept getting clagged in, or the weather was bad, or whatever. And I shot a couple.
What does clagged in mean?
Oh, so like foggy and stuff like that. So the helicopter can't fly, and you can't go in and do this thing. So the local Deerstalkers branch down there had got this lotteries grant, I think, to process all this meat that we were meant to be bringing out. There's a group of 30 people going into all these different landing sites. We didn't make it in, so I thought, well, what can I do? Shoot a couple of beasts. So I shot these beasts, took a couple of back steaks out of them for my freezer, and the other 400, 500, 600, probably 600 kilos combined out of these two things went to the food banks.
Wow. So who do the food banks feed?
local communities.
Just folks that need it.
Yeah,
Right.
and there's so many of them. They're everywhere. You've got all over the country. There's different places that take game meat as well. There's different little initiatives going on all over the show.
So that's what I was going to ask. So, like, let's say that you and I today go out and we shoot a deer each, and we have all this venison spare, and we bring it back. Can I drop that to any old food bank, or are there laws around it?
No, so it needs to be like a food bank will take it. I've spoken to them before. Like I've taken meat to the city mission before, and
It's crazy that they wouldn't.
Yeah. So what I do for myself personally is when I shoot a deer, I'll take the prime cuts off it, and then I'll just hack everything else off and throw it into a black sack in the freezer. And the next year I get to do the same thing, add to the black sack. Then all of a sudden you've got 100 kilos of offcuts. To the butcher, mince it. There was one a couple of Christmases ago, I think. I had too much mince, so I couldn't fit it in the freezer. I had 2 chest freezers, the 2 fridges inside were full, everything was full, and I still had 20 kilos of mince. So I just called the Auckland City Mission, they took it.
Oh, wow. So there's not, because I always thought there was always really strict food laws in New Zealand around
There is
those sort of things.
So with the meat, you have to get it to a chiller in a certain amount of time. Obviously, there's like the lead contamination part of it, all that sort of stuff.
From your bullet?
From the bullet, yeah. Because when it goes in, it expands, right? And so you've got an entry hole that's like the size of your pinky finger. And then usually, if it's gone right through, you've got an exit hole that's like the size of your fist.
And is that deliberately done just to cause the most damage inside the animal?
To humanely kill it, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yep. So it goes in and it expands. And if you're shooting them in the front shoulder, which is the engine room where you're meant to shoot them, it's lungs, heart, all that, vital arteries, hits the lungs or the heart, they're dead. They might run 50 metres, but they're dead pretty quick. They're dead on their feet. They don't know what's happening.
A bunch of questions I had from people said, why don't hunters just shoot them in the head? I don't know if that's a stupid question, but it always seemed to me like that would be the quickest way to kill something.
Once you understand what goes into shooting animals, shooting them in the head is not really an option when the head's doing this all the time.
It's just a hard target.
It's a hard target, and also remember you're standing there and you've got your rifle up and you're like moving a little bit. You need time to set up. So if you most hunting, well, I shouldn't say most. Bush stalking, you've got to be a good shooter, right? Because up to 50 metres, you've got to go, there's a deer, bang. And most of the time it's neck, shoulder, or whatever you can see. Sometimes in the bush I've come across a deer, it stuck its head out. You're like, that's the only thing I can see. I feel confident. I can lean on this tree. This all happens in the space of half a second. You make this decision and go, yep, bang. Sometimes you go, oh, I'm just not comfortable, and it walks.
And do you try and stalk that same deer, or you just sort of let it go and move on?
Usually if it's senior, it'll run a bit. If it smells you, they're gone forever. Don't even bother.
If what, sorry? If it...
They're gone. If they've smelt you,
Oh,
they're
right,
gone.
smell you,
They know
okay.
they know what a human is.
It's more likely they smell you than see you, isn't it? Or they hear you.
Well, if you're a good hunter, they shouldn't smell you.
Yeah, right, okay.
No.
Well, how do you stop that?
It's hard, right? You've got to get the wind right.
Deer deodorant.
You just got to get the wind in your face. Deer deodorant. Well, there is lots of things like that, like different
I'm just
scents.
fucking with you. So yeah, downwind from them.
Downwind from them is the way to go. But sometimes you get into a big flat bit and the wind's going backwards and forwards and this and that. And sometimes it's just luck. Like it's just complete luck. Sometimes I've had the wind right at my ass and you're going, I'm not going to see anything, and just start walking to the next plan, so you can come back into the wind. And a deer just walks out and goes, oh, what's that? And you shoot one. But other times you think, oh, the wind's a bit iffy today. It's sort of quartering on to me. It's swirling a bit. I'll just take my time, and you spend the whole day and you just see absolutely nothing because it's probably quartering you and then like swirling back up.
But from what you said about that kind of meditation mindset when you're in there, even if you go out for a few days and didn't get an animal, you'd still be feeling pretty good, wouldn't you?
Oh, you feel great when you come back, you know?
Must be like a
you
little
feel great.
holiday for you. Yeah, that'd be nice. It must be so awesome just to bring home a whole animal to your family. I do have to swing back though. Wild cattle is something that I don't really know much about. It sounds like someone saying, hey, there's some wild cattle. But the actual wild cows that get out, are they just as docile as a regular cow? Same sort of beef? Is it all the same deal?
They taste the same. Probably better actually, because they're eating all sorts of shit, not just fed on grain or grass or whatever. But
I mean, I'm a total amateur.
they're probably a bit happier because they're not getting like prod in the arse to go and get milked or
Vaccinations every 10 minutes.
They're just escapees that have got out. So my first,
So they've escaped from a farm and just become wild.
yeah,
Oh, right, okay.
yep. So my first interaction with wild cattle was actually on Great Barrier Island. There was a guy there on the south coast that had just sold his property and to this other guy, and there was about 30 cattle on it, and we went there one weekend and we shot 11. And I came back with a couple of chili bins full of meat, and the rest just got distributed around the island. I got a couple of mates there, left it with them, and it was just gone. It's good meat.
You'll be a well-loved person on the barrier.
I was just like, it's hunting, cool, let's go. This will be fun. It's an adventure. Yeah. Let's go for an adventure.
Yeah, cool. What a sweet place to go do it as well.
Exactly, yep.
So if, let's say, some young bloke, call him John, he comes into the Deerstalkers tomorrow and he starts chatting to Callum Sheridan and you become mates and he wants to go hunting. So when we're talking about, we've got past he's got his firearms license, it's been a hard process, and now he's saying to you, I just want to go hunting. Can I just walk onto dockland or public land? Do I need to organise with someone that has their own land? How does he go ahead and start?
So
what is he allowed to do?
So get on the dock website, have a look at where the public land is. Make sure you get your permit, click the button, it's free, it takes 5 seconds. Then you've got they've just changed the permitting system, apparently it's a whole lot easier. Mine's still valid from when I got it last time. It's coming up for renewal, so I need to actually go and have a look at this new system. But the easy thing to do is go on that dock website, click, if you're going to go to the Central North Island, just click everywhere in that Central North Island region, look at the maps. If you get the NZ Topo map on your phone, it's just an app, shows you...
It's a topographic chart showing elevations.
But that also has the overlays of where the public land is.
Right.
So you can see, that public land goes right to the road, so I can literally just park on the side of the road and start walking.
Oh, so you've got a physical checkpoint.
You've got a physical checkpoint, and it's got your location too, so you can go and do that. So I would say do that, make sure your rifle sighted in, don't just go and buy something from one of the retailers and go, this is great, and walk off into the bush and they say it's good, because I've seen plenty of people turn up with rifles that are no good.
So I go and buy a rifle and a scope from Gun City and I walk away. I would assume, as an amateur, I would think that that's ready to go. What do you have to do to it?
So the shop should bore sight it for you. Take it to a range.
What does that mean?
Bore sight it is they'll put like a little thing like a little dot in the end of it. They'll look through the scope and line the scope up with the bore.
Okay.
All right. Then once it's bore sighted, it's going to be near enough, right? It's going to be on paper like that at 50 metres. Mm-hmm. If you've never shot before, I get 2 or 3 different types of ammunition, different brands, because different rifles like different ammunition. I'd take that ammunition to a range and I'd shoot 3 shots of each at the target, centre on the target, and just aim straight at it. And after each 3 shots, mark what's what. So you've got 3 shots here. That's going to tell you if the rifle's grouping. So you might be aiming dead centre, it's been bore sighted, but it's not been tweaked to perfection, right? So you might be aiming at the centre and you're going to get a group 4 inches to the left or the right. And you might get a group that's, that big. And if you're getting a group that's like...
about a 50-cent coin, but bigger.
An old 50-cent coin.
Yep.
A 2-inch group with a factory rifle, you've just got it, you're testing it, that's good enough for hunting, I would you've got to set your scope up. So on the top of the scope and the side of the scope, there'll be the adjustments. So you can move it left or right, up and down, and it shows you how much. And usually it's a quarter of a click per inch. A quarter of an inch per click. So you bring it over, do another couple of shots, let the rifle cool down. It's important not to go bang, 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 and then, click, 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 bang, bang, straight away. Just let it cool down.
Why is that?
Because when the barrel gets hot, it moves, it starts doing this. If you've got something cold and rigid, the bullet flies through it. When that barrel starts heating up, it's a lot more malleable and it just starts moving a lot more.
That makes
so
sense.
When it goes bang at the start and releases from the chamber and goes along the barrel's getting hotter and hotter. So make sure it's cool. A lot of the time, like in the winter, it's fine. You just wait 15 minutes, another shot. In the summer, I take one of those like electric blowers with a battery on it and just like set that up on the rifle. If I'm in a rush, if I'm not in a rush, then just put it in the shade, put it under the car, wherever you are, just put it out the way. But yeah, it's important to get that sighted in. So for me, what I do, I shoot a 308 caliber.
Sorry, just quickly, just because a lot of people don't know about this kind of thing.
Yep.
So like a 308 caliber, what does that actually mean? Is that referring to the size of the shell?
That's referring to the circumference of the projectile.
And that's in millimeters?
That's in inches.
0.308 inches.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm glad I asked.
Is it? Oh, fuck, I'm on camera. Yeah, anyway, so I'm not a big gun nut, right? I'm not a big gun nut.
You're not a big gun nut?
I'm not a big gun
Okay.
nut. Okay, absolutely not.
I don't believe you.
Absolutely not. I have a rifle as a tool so I can go and do hunting.
Right, okay.
That's it.
Oh, so you're not that obsessed with guns, you're obsessed with hunting.
I'm obsessed with hunting, yeah.
Right, okay.
I'm obsessed with the process of that. The equipment, you have to learn to a certain standard to be successful. So a 308 is the circumference of the projectile, which is about this big, right? That comes out the end of the cartridge, which is about this long. So that gets sent out the end of the cartridge.
So the projectile is about the size of the end of your thumb, just for people listening, and then it's about your forefinger for the actual hole.
So when you see a bullet, which most people call, oh, that's a bullet.
You see the brass part thinking that's the bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think that's a whole, it's not, it's just a little bit on the end. So,
and the rest of it holds the gunpowder?
the rest of it is a primer at the end. So the little
gun people listening to me.
yeah.
I'm trying to learn about it.
They'll be pissed off at me. The president of the Deerstalkers doesn't know about guns. Well, fuck.
Well, they should know this podcast is all about normal conversations.
Normal conversations.
Yeah, normal conversations.
So the firing pin hits the primer. The primer like sparks, which ignites the gunpowder and pushes the projectile out the front of the case.
Right, and then the shell itself pops out, doesn't it?
The shell itself pops out.
Yep. Okay.
And gets forced down the barrel and all that. So where were we going with this? There was a point to this.
We were talking about calibers. You're saying you like to use a 308, and then I said, how is that measured?
What we were talking about is what would you do when you went to a shop, you buy the gun, blah, blah. So what I was going to say, I was going to use myself as an example. Now, this is just an example. This is just what I do. So I shoot a 308. I sight it in for 1 inch to 1.5 inches high at 100 metres, right?
An inch, yes, okay.
So you've got your bullseye, and at 100 metres, that projectile is 1 inch or 1.5 inches above the bullseye at 100 metres. Now, with the ballistics of a 308, which is how the bullet performs over distance, at about 175 metres, that's going to be bang on the bullseye, because when it comes out the end of the rifle, it does this. It does like an arc, if you can imagine. It does like an arc. So it's going up, 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 up. So at 175 metres, it's bang on. So I know that when I'm in the bush, out to 250 metres, if I'm going from 0 to 250 metres, I've got about an 8-inch variation either way with that rifle.
Okay.
High or low.
And you've just worked that out from that 1.5 inch point.
Yep. So if the deer's 20 metres away, I'm just going to aim straight at its chest or straight at its neck, because it'll be low then, right? Because it's coming out and doing this.
So there's actually a lot of mathematics, I think, that come in with long shots, aren't there?
A lot of rifles, like you might get a 270, which is usually quite a smaller projectile, a lot lighter, but it's going a heap faster, and it's flatter shooting.
Flatter meaning it's going to hit what you're aiming at, right?
It doesn't do the arc as much.
Right.
Well, no, you're always going to hit what you're aiming at if you've got it sighted in right. So, and you're talking in most people's minds minute, like 10 centimetres. When we're talking about inches, 10, 15 centimetres, like over 250 metre. A 250 metre shot, you're talking 10 to 15 centimetres of fluctuation, depending on how close or far away you are.
And that's what you're all discovering when you're doing this different caliber grouping exercise.
In my head, I've kept it as simple as I possibly can, because I'm not one to go to a range, sit there and just bang round after round and really enjoy it. It's sort of fun. You go and, after work or whatever, you go and shoot the gun and cool, yep, let it go. I'm happy when I come away from that, because I know that my rifle's sighted in and I've got way more chance of being successful when I go hunting, not because I just got to shoot the rifle.
Yeah, so for you, it's just a well-weighted hammer to hit the nail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, man, that's cool. It's I have to admit, it's a little bit surprising. You always figure that, the fisherman's going to be really into reels. You're just like, no, I just want to get the deal.
Same thing with that.
The same
as
way.
long as it performs, I don't care.
You said before, like, actually it surprised me and I kind of bookmarked it to come back to, that Jacinda Ardern had loosened our I know we started talking about her book and things, but loosened our firearms laws. That surprised me because she, I have always thought of the left side being maybe not anti-hunting, but I guess anti-gun, which sort of goes with it.
So it was a good idea at the time, right?
But did she loosen off your ability to get a gun? Did it make it easier? Was that what it was? Or
to get a firearms license.
Okay,
so yes, to get easier. A gun, to get a firearm, yes.
So since then,
we like to call them firearms.
They changed the law. Yeah, you can't say gun; it's too American. Since then, like now, obviously it's gone back the other way since the mosque attack and stuff. Has there been more legislation introduced to limit what you do?
There has been, yeah, a heap more legislation, and a lot of people have lost various firearms. So when they did the big buyback, there are all these different rules brought in.
Can you briefly describe what the buyback was?
So the buyback was for rifles or firearms that didn't meet a certain criteria that was made up by the police and the government, basically. They said, this is a criteria now, you need to conform with it, and if you're not conforming with it, you need to give us your firearms and buy them back. So you're talking about people that have been handed down granddad's rifle for generations, and that rifle might have held 10 rounds in the magazine. 11 rounds in the magazine, where the new rule is you can't have more than 10 in the magazine, right?
Can they modify the magazine?
You can modify it, but then you got to chop down granddad's rifle.
Because thousands of guns were handed down.
So there's all that sort of stuff. And you're talking about a mistake that was made by the police that licensed law-abiding firearms owners are now paying for. The problem is people like that guy who are criminals, who had bad intent. The problem is relaxed laws and police letting that slip through. And the problem is criminals. The problem is, do you think all those AR-15s that have been bought back actually all came back? Do you think that gang member went, yeah, I'm going to take my rifle back? Nah, he just put another jacket over it in the back of the cupboard and went, oh yeah, I'm still going to use that.
Yeah, it's only good law-abiding people that are actually going to listen to the police.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. So all the wrong people are handing them in. Yeah, well, where I was sort of going with this is, do you think that the government is now overreaching into hunting? Have they gone too far back the other way? I mean, have you yourself been involved at all in your position as the national president with the government and regulations?
Yep. So I've met with multiple ministers on multiple issues about hunting and firearms and bits and pieces.
Are any of them particularly interested?
Yep. So we've got a really good advocate, Nicole McKee, Associate Minister of Justice, and she's been great for the firearms and hunting sector. Couldn't speak more highly of her in terms of her intent to get stuff done and represent firearms users at the highest level. She's a firearms user herself.
She hunts, does she?
I think I'm not sure how much hunting she does, but I know that she has hunted. She's done that sort of stuff.
Understands it. Yeah.
She went on so I'm part of the Game Animal Council as well, which is a position that's appointed by the minister. So they do a hunt every year. Last year, I wasn't there with her. I was with some other MPs, but she was there, and I'm pretty sure went hunting down at Ngāmatia Station.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, we've got people there. We've got a new Minister of Hunting and Fishing, James Meagher.
Has Nicole introduced some legislation? Or has she just been supportive when you've sort of spoken to her?
Supportive and lobbying. Like I say, the gun stuff and the legislation and all that sort of stuff, it's just not I'm like game animals and hunting. That's my forte, right? Nicole is there for firearms users, She will support them till the cows come home because she knows that they are outstanding members of society.
So when the politicians like Nicole, who are a bit more sympathetic to this, do they reach out to people like yourself and other hunting leaders in the country?
Yep.
So they do try and get a bit of proper insight.
We speak fairly regularly.
Okay.
Yep.
That's actually good to hear because, from the outside it looks like things don't go that way.
There's no problem with me picking up the phone and having a conversation.
Do you think that people like Nicole McKee being supportive will actually lead to real change in our lifetimes?
I hope so. It's about stickability, though. You know, like
Between governments, you mean?
between governments. Yeah.
But true legislation sort of rides over that.
It's about stickability and common sense. And unfortunately, some governments just haven't got common sense, you know?
I'm not sure there's any government that has common sense.
No, you're right. But
No politician,
there's
at least.
some that, well, no, I wouldn't say that, but I would say that it gets so convoluted in the web of political bullshit that they don't even know which way they're pointing sometimes, you know, and they want to do one thing, but this over here is stopping them, and that person over there said that, and that one, and so there's all this, these contributing factors that stop them from actually getting to where they want to get to, no matter what their intent is when they first get in. So that it's their job to go in and figure their way around how they're going to get around that and support the people that vote for them by getting through, you know. Like we've got the new Minister Hunting and Fishing, James Meagher, great, like new minister, saying all the right things. I'm quite happy to be like able to call him as well, have a discussion, and be heard. And hopefully our views are being taken on board. The fact that we're getting a phone call on the time, like we go down there, myself and NZDA CEO Gwyn will go down and meet the minister every couple of months and have a discussion about whatever's going on at the time. They're usually busy, you know, like you're in and out in 45 minutes.
That's pretty good, though. I mean, that's quite a good meeting with a politician, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, the fact that I'll sit with you for 45 minutes and talk about hunting, that's promising.
Hunting and firearms and just everything that affects our members, really, is what we're there for.
But if they talk to you about firearms, you say, well, I don't like guns. I don't like hunting.
Yeah.
So what would good regulation look like? Like if you could go to McKee or any of these people and just say, this is a piece of legislation or regulation that I would like to see added or removed for hunters.
Recognising firearms owners as somebody that has, recognising licensed firearms owners that have gone through the process of getting their licence, being vetted, having all those questions done, you know, those guys that renew their license every 10 years or 5 years or whatever one category they may be in, recognise them as people that are like up here in society, the ones that are, they've been through that huge process. They're not just any Tom, Dick and Harry that nobody knows who they are really, like nobody knows what's going on in their head. They've been properly vetted. Like we had like that atrocity which happened in Christchurch, that was let slip. I think it's given the police and the government a real good kick up the arse, like we need to sort shit out. They've done that, but at the same time, they've really hindered the true licensed firearms owners. That was a big mistake they made. They let something slip through the cracks, but why are they punishing those people that have held a firearms license for 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, well, I guess the whole thing with that Trenton Tarrant, you know, the guy that did all that and that horrible thing that happened, and he used a semi-automatic rifle, didn't he? And that was a big part of it. But my side of it is that as horrible as it is, and yes, we should be careful about firearms, who can buy firearms and own them, people can also buy a car with a license at 16, and that's 2 tons. You can drive it through a crowd and kill a lot of people or damage a lot of people. You can buy huge butcher knives from Kmart. Like there are so many things that can be used as weapons, and you've spent a lot of this time talking about a gun as a tool, very much a tool. You're not obsessed. You're not like one of these American guys listening to rock music and trying to pat your automatic weapons away with the beat.
I'll tell you what, it's, as you touched on that American thing, so I was in the States in January. I went over there for the Safari Club International Convention.
It's a Safari Club.
Safari Club is like an international, like, Deerstalkers, basically.
Okay. Yep.
Much bigger.
Elephants and giraffes by the sound of it.
Yeah, which is another contentious thing, right? I'm not into that, but, you know.
I'm just saying Safari.
It's international hunting advocacy, so being a member is good in my eyes, right? And, like, there's these gun-toting Americans, they're not. Like, all of them that I came across abided by you've got that gun-toting dickhead anywhere in the world, you know. The Americans have got a huge respect for firearms and what they can do.
They've grown up with them, haven't they?
They have. It's just normal to have a sidearm in your vehicle in a lot of places.
Well, it's literally written into the Constitution, your Second Amendment. You have the right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's so everyone thinks that gun-toting American. Well, you've seen that because you've seen the video on Instagram of some like redneck
open carry AR-15 in the Walmart.
Just shooting. And that I was a bit like, whoa, when you went into Walmart there, you go, holy, what's going on here? But it's just because we're not used to it.
Yeah.
And you can then go and, if you're not open carrying one in Walmart, you can just go and buy one over the counter.
Yeah. With a 24-hour waiting period or something, isn't it? Yeah. I know they had this, they have a gun show loophole. So if there's a gun show in the county, they can sell on the day.
Yeah,
So
right, okay.
There's often a gun show out the back. I think that, Americans have a bit of a bad reputation with guns, but I think it's just because they're the most visual country that talks about them a lot, and we see them a lot with Americans.
They've got the bad reputation because people that don't understand what it's all about comment on it.
Yeah, and also...
And the rest of the world don't fucking get it either.
And they're also Hollywood, so all of our culture has seen these awesome dudes with big guns, but when I flew into Vietnam a couple of years ago, all of the guys in the airport there had automatic rifles.
Yep.
Standing there, I was quite like, I'd seen big guns on guards before when I'd gone overseas, but it's still kind of like, whew.
Yep.
I was like, man, he could kill me all of a sudden. But again, like I said, he could with a car, he could with a knife. You can do it with anything if it's not used properly. So the future of hunting in New Zealand. So do you see things going like Callum going hunting today and Callum going hunting 2026, a year from now? Is it all the same? Are you still able to do what you can do today? Are things going in the right direction?
I think the immediate future, what you're talking about, definitely. Look, I was talking about the Game Animal Council before. The Game Animal Council, which I'm a part of, has just put forward a proposal to the Minister for a herd of special interest for Wapiti.
Is this McKee they put it towards?
No, so James Meagher, the Minister of Hunting and Fishing.
Yep.
So a proposal to the Minister to consider a herd of special interest for the Wapiti. There's also the Seeker herd of special interest that is getting worked on at the moment within the Game Animal Council, hopefully for the next run of things to get put forward to the Minister. The Minister is considering the herd of special interest for the Wapiti at the moment. So I feel that animals are becoming more widely recognised as valued in this country. Like you say, you go out and you can provide meat for your family.
As a food source.
Feed the community, do all that sort of thing. There's so much good that comes out of having these creatures that run around the bush, Why would you not protect them to a degree? We've got the only healthy population of Himalayan tahr in the entire world.
Really?
And we had a Greens government only 3 or 4 years ago that wanted to get rid of them all.
A tahr, what is that? What's a tahr?
So it's a big mountain goat, basically.
Right.
Yep.
Why are they so endangered?
Oh, they're just dying out in the Himalayas.
It's weird that a Himalayan goat lives so
in
well.
New Zealand, we've got an abundance of them. No doubt there are areas with too many.
Right.
But proper sustained management of these animals, when I say proper sustained management, means not just going in and bombing them up and going, oh, yep, they're all dead, let's go over here now, forgetting about that for 5 or 10 years and, oh, shit, there's too many there again. Why is there too many? Oh, because it's a really good environment for them to thrive. Why not just have a sustained management system where you go in and you take out the females because they're the breeders, leave the trophy animals, because a bull tahr is worth $10,000 to $12,000 to the New Zealand economy, one single animal.
From a foreign hunter?
Yep, foreign hunter, yeah.
Right.
Yep. So, but also you think about, say if I went in there and I shot a bull tahr that was, a trophy-sized tahr, I'd probably head skin it, cape it out, take the head, taxidermist. I've paid for the chopper. I've paid for my travel to get to the chopper. So you're talking like flights, you're talking accommodation, you're talking the taxidermist fee.
They're all different businesses getting paid, aren't they?
All these different getting paid because this animal exists.
So that's hunting tourism, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Do we have much of an industry of hunting tourism here at the moment?
Yep. Yeah, a lot of it's private.
Could be bigger by the sound of it.
A lot of it could be way bigger.
So what's
but that's also something that as a country we need to protect. Like New Zealanders should have the right to hunt our public land.
I thought we did.
We do.
Right.
But going forward, like, we should always have the right to hunt our public land.
Okay.
This is like the Wild West, New Zealand, for the entire world. Like, when I was in the States at this convention, they're like, yeah, you guys can just go hunting whenever you want and shoot whatever you want. Over there, you've got a tag system. If you shoot the wrong thing, you basically go to jail. Like, their fishing game officers have got, like, just as much power as the police.
Well, they're federal officers, aren't they?
Yeah. You go and shoot the wrong animal and you're up shit creek, you're probably going to jail.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So tag systems where they get like a tag for a single brown bear or a single stag or moose or whatever, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
You said before, like you've said a couple of times, I mean, again, a lot of people listening to this aren't going to know a thing about hunting. So you've talked about a few different species. We've said rooster, which I stupidly thought was rooster, and red deer earlier, which I've heard referred to as dumb reds. How many species do we have here, and are any of them native?
Yep. So we've got 7 species of deer in New Zealand, and then we've also got chamois, which is like a European antelope. We've got tahr, which we just talked about, which is a Himalayan mountain goat, feral pigs, and goats.
The pigs are a bit of an issue, aren't they?
Can be. Like any animal in plague numbers can be a problem. Farmers don't like pigs because they root up the paddocks, all that sort of stuff. So our species of deer in New Zealand, we've got red deer, fallow deer, whitetail, samba, rusa, wapiti. What have I missed? Fallow. Yeah.
Hey.
There you go.
Well, the gun people might be pissed off, but the hunters will be happy.
Yeah. So basically, all those animals are classed as a valued and introduced species from pigs upwards. So goats are still classed as a pest, but our valued and introduced species are pigs, the tahr, the chamois, and then the 7 deer species.
Valued, introduced. So none of them are native.
None of them are native, no.
So they're all technically pests then?
Valued introduced species. If you look at the Game Animal Council Act, it's a valued introduced species.
Right, okay. And that's because they provide meat.
Well, there's not just meat. No, I would say secondary meat. I would say that the value to the economy is so big.
Yeah, right. And so if you didn't hunt, so say we all stopped hunting today, what would those deer numbers, as they blow up, what would they do negatively to our environment?
So in a year, they would double. In 2 years, they quadruple, and so on and so forth. So it would just balloon, and it would be a huge problem. If you didn't have hunters in the hills doing what they do, the native flora and fauna would be destroyed.
Do the deer themselves rip it up as well?
Oh, they eat it, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
But I mean, there's another thing there, right? We've always had a browsing animal in New Zealand. There were 17 species of moa, from the size of a chicken up to like 7 feet tall or something.
Largest bird in the world, yeah.
Yep, all that. So, and you see this propaganda bullshit that comes out from Forest and Bird or whatever, and they're like, yeah, look at a deer, it's got these teeth and it grabs and it rips and it does all this. If you've ever sat there and watched a deer eat, it comes along and it nibbles a leaf and then it moves to the next bit and nibbles a leaf and it's just cruising through, nibbling leaves and whatever. Unless there's a nice big tree that's fallen down that's really tasty, it might stand there for a bit and eat that, but they nibble and then all those little bits of leaves get pushed to the back of their mouth and they chew on it.
Big molars.
Like you've heard of chewing its cud, like you're sitting there chewing its cud, right? Farm animals do it. Deer do the same thing. A moa would do the same thing. It would peck the leaves, and this was this argument I saw on this video from Forest and Bird came out. This guy's going, yeah, deer, look at the teeth. It rips it off, and then it does all this damage, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like a moa, look, it would just peck at it. Deer do exactly the same thing. The deer grab it, nip it off, put it in the back of the mouth that's chewing on it. A moa pecks at it, and it goes into its gizzard. It's doing the same thing. It's just the same process. It's just the same process. If the animals are managed to a point where they're in low to moderate numbers, which benefits the trophy potential, it benefits the meat potential. Too many deer, they're all skinny and they're shit to eat. Why would you want that? If there's too many deer, then they're competing too much for food. They don't grow good antlers.
So that's sort of like swinging back to before, like basically a piece of regulation that you'd introduce would just be to make it a bit easier to go in and control these populations on a proper schedule and to bring in more tourists to pump
So
up our
a herd
economy.
of special interest does that.
Yep.
So the Wapiti herd of special interest is specific to Fiordland and the Wapiti area.
So do they identify a certain herd and then keep an eye on it?
Yep.
Right. And that's all government done?
No.
That's all you done.
No. The Wapiti Foundation does that completely off their own bat with no taxpayer dollars.
Wow. How do they raise money?
Hunters.
So again, like you, fees and...
Yep. Well, fees, they've got people that donate to them, they do raffles, they work, but it's been going for 20 years. Like the amount of work that's gone into getting that going is just outstanding. You know, like they have done a monumental effort to get to where they are today.
Oh, we'll put a link in for them as well so people can have a look.
Yeah. We'll talk, if we're talking about foundations,
Yeah,
you've got the Fiordland Wapiti Foundation, you've got the Central North Island Seeker Foundation doing the same sort of stuff, but in the Central North Island. And you've got the TAR Foundation, which is obviously for the TAR in their feral range, which is just the South Island. There's other smaller ones like the Lower North Island Red Deer Foundation. All these people that have got interests in these animals. We've got, right here in Auckland, we've got the Woodhill Fallow Management Committee. So that was established in 1987. Sorry, 1987. It's been running for a long time now. That allows hunters from the Big Smoke in Auckland here to drive for an hour, hour and a half. You're at your hunting block. You've got a day's hunting. It's $25 to enter the ballot. If you're successful, it's about $195, and that's split between 3 hunters for the day. You can each take an animal, and you can take an observer as well. If you've got a mate that doesn't go hunting and you want to go, hey, come and have a look at this cool place where we can go and see some deer and some pigs, and
he'll want to hunt afterwards.
Probably.
It's
if he's got half a brain.
I found a little bit, I guess, pleasantly surprised how into advocacy you are. Like it seems much of the NZDA and these other associations around the country, they're all about doing it right and doing it well, and really just...
You've got to lead by example.
It's not the image that is put out to us here, basically. As you know, talking to you today has almost been surprising, because if I was just to watch, say, mainstream news when they talk about hunting or hunting-related things, it's often painted really negatively.
If you're a hunter and you value what you've got now and you're not a member of one of those foundations or the NZDA, join one of them. Just do it. You're doing your part.
So do you think that's the best way to pass the values on to the next generation?
Yep.
So just get them to come along with their parents or by themselves?
Come along to an NZDA branch, enroll in your hunts course. We run hunts courses for complete newbies. They come in, we run them through the theory session. They get a hunt at the end. Most of the time that includes an animal, like almost guaranteed.
Is this over a weekend or something?
No, so it'll be like 6 or 7 theory sessions over 6 or 7 weeks. And then there's a navigation section, which is over a weekend. And then there's river crossings, and there's also like your hunting weekend. And there's like bushcraft and all sorts of stuff that you go through.
So it's fully immersive.
Fully, yeah.
And you have you spoke to me about the Take a Kid Hunting program. Do you think that or have you seen young Kiwis still interested in getting into hunting? Yeah,
so Take a Kid Hunting is run through the Woodhill Fallow Management Committee, which I'm also a part of.
Part of every bloody committee, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it's just like, it's what I like to do.
Yeah,
so,
I got that.
Every year we get 50 to 100 kids wanting to be in this thing, and I think so. We've got 9 blocks in the forest, and we split them in half, so 18 kids can go with their mentor. So you've got the kids got to have someone that they can go with that has a firearms license. So the kids, you've got to be 12 or over to be able to go on, because you've got to be able to, as a person, you've got to be able to handle that firearm.
Is there an age limit to it? 18?
Yeah, so 12, you've got it, the youngest you can be is 12, so it's between 12 and 18. Oh, yeah, limit, 18. Yeah, 18. Yep. So, and that just gets young people into hunting. A lot of people struggle to get a mentor. We've had people come into the branch before where, like you're talking about before, like they might just live at home with mum. Mum doesn't know about it. Mum brings them along to the branch and goes, so-and-so wants to get into it. It exposes them a bit. Sometimes they hang around, sometimes they don't, but at least they've been exposed to, like you're talking about, a masculine environment. They might meet some people. They might get on a group hunt, all that sort of stuff.
Sounds like an open evening would do you guys really well.
We do.
A lot of people.
Yeah. So anybody, at the Auckland branch, and most branches actually, if you just turn up on a club night, it's open to the public.
How often are they?
So once a month.
Yep.
Auckland branch is the second Tuesday of every month. If you go to www.deerstalkers.org.nz, there's a branch finder on there. It'll show you where the 49 branches are located over the entire country. Get in contact with them, go along to a branch night. Every branch is different. Like I said, some are living in the 70s, Some are just like the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh, that's awesome.
And everything in between.
We'll definitely chuck all that in the info. Like anyone wants to get into any of your 100 associations or different things, we'll put all that information there.
There's a lot going. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So yeah.
So let me sort of let's wind this up with a hypothetical. We are looking at, and just not going to get too political here, but in the next election at the moment, if you looked at the polls, there's a good chance that we would have a Labour, Green to Party Māori government. So let's just say that government came in and put a ton of restrictions on hunting. They pushed it right down. What happens if hunting disappears basically from Kiwi life today? How would that affect you and other hunters?
You would have an absolute uproar, I reckon.
By a bunch of people that own guns?
Well, no, hunters. Hunters. It's not about the guns, it's about the hunting.
I know.
You look at what happened when they were trying to eliminate tahr. Like the streets of Auckland were blocked. There was a big, massive protest, all that sort of. Some people didn't know anything about it. Other people standing on Queen Street on like a Sunday afternoon going, why is there 100 cars driving out Queen Street with like tahr strapped to a trailer on the back of it and like making all this noise? And
you get the same feeling when Brian Tamaki's telling you to man up on Queen Street. You don't know that they're marching that day.
Yeah.
You're interested if you're interested.
Yeah.
So you think hunters would come forth again and push back?
I think so. The sector was quite fragmented for a number of years. And I think in the last sort of like 6 years, it's really come together, and the collaboration, like there was always like, we're doing this and we're doing that. And the result of that is actually a lot of these foundations and stuff, because they're like, we're not getting what we need out of the sector, so we're going to create this and create that. And that was needed. Like they've now created that, and the collaboration within the sector now, everybody's really come together, and there's not one leader of any of those organisations I don't think I could call and have a conversation, like a frank conversation with what's going on and how are we going and how can we help.
Why can't you just call and talk?
No, that's what I'm saying. We can.
Oh, you can.
There's not one there's not one that I couldn't call.
Oh, not one you can't go to.
And have that conversation.
That's really positive then.
It's like we had a meeting at the Seeker Show. So the Seeker Show is an event that happens at Mystery Creek Event Centre. This year it's I think it's around the 10th or 11th of November, but it's the start of November somewhere, maybe second weekend in November. We had a meeting there with Chris Luxon before he got in as PM. And he was doing his whole, we're going to be the best government ever thing. Anyway, he met the hunting sector, and all of us were in the room, all the leaders of the hunting sector were sitting there. And he even said, I can't believe that you guys are all getting on. Like, this is the first time I've been in a room with a sector of people that all agree with each other.
Got a very similar goal.
It's great. We've all got a similar goal, and it's like protect and promote hunting and shooting. Like
he's sitting listening to people argue most of the time, I guess.
Well, yeah. Well, I think everybody that's at the forefront of it now just wants to get on and do it. We just want to get on and make things happen. We want the sector to be successful. We want to protect it after we're long gone. So
that's an attitude you just don't hear all over the place. I think that's awesome. I think that what you guys are doing is necessary right now, because these conversations are cool, but like I've said again, hunting is just not a hugely, I guess, talked about or I think accepted to be the wrong thing. There's just so many people that have no idea. And that I hope things like this will make more people go and join a branch like this, or just start to talk about it, or see it as a food source thing, not some cruelty.
I really enjoy talking to people that have got no idea about it.
Like me, I think tonight, asking about bullets.
Like I said, bullets and that sort of shit is just like, it's a tool. I've figured out enough so I can be successful. Other people just love it and get right into it. But having a conversation with somebody that's never hunted or been exposed to the backcountry or any of that, you might go to a barbecue where half the people and don't know the other half, and you start talking to someone. The amount of people that I've had a conversation with, and they're like, I've sort of been interested, it'd be sort of cool, or I don't know about it, and then they come to the Deerstalkers and join. A lot.
I think there's a lot of people that won't realise there's a guy like you that hunts, and you're like, clearly like a bloke, and people might, like you said, they might think they'll come along and get cold-shouldered and no one will look at you. But I think if there were people like you, I think if most people sat down with you and just said, "Can you tell me about a bullet? And do you shoot them in the head?" And you'd happily explain it to them and probably have a couple of new hunters on your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
like I try, like, and you try not to laugh, but it's funny, right? You hear something silly. It's like I talked to an IT person about that,
Do I press enter?
and they laugh at me. Yeah, it's like, don't press enter fucking too many times. Yeah, and I'm like, and they're laughing at me. But it's just the same thing. Like, if you don't know, you don't know, and if you don't ask, you'll never know.
Yep. Well, I've tried to base this podcast common ground of just having normal conversations about things that people don't always yarn about.
Yep.
But hey, I think it's been great. Callum, thank you so much, mate.
No,
I
cool.
really appreciated this.
Good stuff.
Brilliant.